Hello, thank you for being here. I am Dr. Heather Yost. I'm the owner and the founder of Yost Wellness Center here in Des Moines, Iowa, where we see people in our clinic knee to knee. We also see patients virtually from all over the state of Iowa, and for that matter, really all over the Midwest and throughout the United States. So I want to start by thanking you for being here today, for choosing to look a little bit further into why you're suffering, or maybe why a loved one is suffering, or maybe why you continue to go to the doctors, you're asking different questions, and yet you still aren't getting answers. So what we find is a lot of people are just burning time, bouncing or being tossed like a hot potato from one practitioner to the other, maybe being told their symptoms are normal or being explained away because you have children, you have a job, you're busy, or you're getting older. I had a patient that's 28 years old that told me that she was just getting older. I beg to differ. So the reason why we are here today is I believe in a healthier community. I believe that you are supposed to add life to your years, not just years to your life. I believe that you're supposed to thrive, not just survive. And I don't believe that there is a magic bullet. So there is a magic process, but this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. Just like you can't get in shape overnight, you can't change your teeth with braces overnight. But what you can do is that bit by bit by bit, you can start to get to the root cause of what's happening, and you can start to put the pieces of this puzzle back together again. So the next 45 minutes that we're together, this time is for you. I promise you I will work really hard. I did put a lot of time into these slides, hoping that you can take something away from this that could potentially change your life or change the life of your family members or people that you really love and care about. So let's talk about, let's go into who this is actually for. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share really quick. So this webinar is really for the action takers. This is for the people that are working really hard, doing whatever they can, maybe eating less, exercising more, going to these various doctors, asking questions, and you're still suffering. So these are the people with unexplained chronic fatigue that's affecting their ability to take care of their kids or garden or exercise, do the things that are important to them. These are the people with digestive issues, with headaches or migraines, that they have chronic achiness. This is for the people that have hormonal issues that they aren't getting answers for. And I like to say there's a lot of people out there that are kind of suffering from chronic unwellitis. They wake up every single day and they just don't feel good. So we've got to start to ask better questions and get to the root cause of what's happening for these people that are suffering. And before we dive in, I want to tell you again, I introduced myself, Dr. Heather Yost. I want to tell you where I came from and why I do this. Years ago, this is me. This is with my kids, and they're all about the same height as me right now. And I was really suffering. I mean, I know on the outside, I looked healthy, but behind the scenes, I was having a truly rough time. I had so much joint pain that this particular day, it took my husband helping me walk down the stairs at this beautiful resort just to get to this picture. My grandmother was here, and I remember her walking around with a walker, and I was actually jealous, thinking that maybe that could help me because I was struggling so much. And the pain that I was experiencing actually started months prior with a mold exposure. And it was a couple of months after that that this small amount of joint pain started. And it was kind of annoying. And then it turned into excruciating. And then it turned into debilitating, where my kids were actually helping me get ready in the morning. My husband was rolling me over, and I sat in a rocking chair and I cried. And I did everything. I was a natural doctor at the time, and I threw everything at this I knew how. I went to the acupuncturist, the chiropractor, physical therapist. I meditated, I prayed, I took so many vitamins, and eventually I took Advil, and I took a lot of it. And I finally gave up, and I landed up at Mayo Clinic, and I spent an entire summer there on and off, and I was poked, prodded, I was x-rayed and radiated. I had so many MRIs, CT scans, I had biopsies, and finally they came to a diagnosis and labeled me with seronegative spondyloarthropathy, an autoimmune disorder. And the game plan was that I would get on an immunosuppressant drug for the rest of my life. And if I right now had a record player screeching to a halt, that's how I felt. Like, wait a minute. I had been running like up to 6 half marathons in a year. I was an active practitioner and mother. I was in my early 30s, and I thought, how can this be my new normal? And that's when a colleague said to me, really, you are doing everything structural, but what you need is a functional medicine doctor to help you get to the root cause. And that's when the light bulb went out for me. I hired a functional medicine doctor, and I literally stopped listening to anybody else's advice, including my own, because I had a lot of things I was trying to throw at this, and I got better. Not overnight, not in a week, not even in a month, but I did it. And I got better without drugs. And as I did, I began to study functional medicine. And I was mentored by Dr. Josh Shields, who's an incredible practitioner, just wonderful human. And I became a certified functional medicine practitioner. I eventually started practicing functional medicine, which ended up being the best thing that I have ever done, because now I can help people the same way that I was helped. And now if you look, and now in this world, if you start to look, I mean, we're kind of in a neat situation that we've never had the ability ever in history to go to the internet and search up all this information and start to find answers. I mean, back when I grew up, if you wanted the answer, you went to the library and you grabbed the dictionary. Now we're just at a few keyboard strokes away from finding information. That's also the downfall, because what's happening is never in history have we had so many people pumping information onto the internet and trying to help people. I think a lot of people are very well intended, but some of these people, maybe it worked for them and it wouldn't work for somebody else. And maybe it's something that they had heard that they're passing the information off. So what's happening is people are getting really confused. And I tell people, please don't just go to Dr. Google. Let's work to get some real answers and really get to the root cause. Because when you look at how this works, there's a lot of people that are putting their information out there as well, that are saying, hey, this worked for me. And while testimonials are great, we really do want to look at not only how people are healing, but also where is this coming from? And we don't guess, we test and we post test. And these people, we didn't throw things at them hoping for the best. We looked at what their body needed. We looked at root cause and said, well, where is it coming from? Why are they experiencing these things? And let me go back 1 second. I want you to hear this. These are people that are suffering.
In the summer of 2017, I had been having thyroid issues for a few months, and that I had an anaphylactic reaction. So at that point in time, I didn't know that it had thrown me into autoimmunity, Hashimoto's, and other autoimmunity. So I was very sick when I came here. I proceeded to go to other doctors because I started getting lung infections and inhalers, and I needed a breathing machine. And at the current time I came here, I had gotten exhausted going to other doctors, and I was on 9 medications and a breathing machine. So I was very, very upset about my health. I started here with Dr. Yost 4 months ago, and the care is amazing. I was very excited to get started. I was very sick when I got here, so I was absolutely ready to do anything she told me. And I feel amazing. My blood work is much better after 4 months, and it's the best decision I ever made. I'm not hopeless anymore. My life is going great. My health is turning around, and I have a bright future. I have a grandson that I need to live for and be healthy for, and it's been awesome. You need to do this. I was all out of options, and in fact, this was the best option, but I didn't know anything about holistic medicine, so this will be the best decision you ever make. Just do it.
These people, real people, they are overcoming what they once thought to be permanent conditions. And they've learned the first secret to health, which is, in order to heal, you need to discover what the root cause is. I mean, imagine if you put on your favorite pair of sneakers and you went out for a walk And every night you were using the same sneakers, you did the same walk, but when you put them on one night, there was a pebble in that shoe. And by the time you got to the end of your walk, you thought, my foot is really hurting me. So you grabbed some Tylenol. The Tylenol did help a little bit, but ultimately the next night when you went out for a walk, your foot was still really bothering you. So you doubled up and you added not just Tylenol, but Advil into the equation. You went on your walk, and when you got back from that walk, you took your shoe off and realized that your foot was bleeding. So you bandaged it up, you put some hydrocortisone cream on, some antibiotic, and the next night you went out for your walk again. Do you see where this is going? I mean, there's a root cause to that. You can keep treating those symptoms, or you can say, where is it coming from? If we can get at where it's coming from, we can ultimately get to the root cause of these problems and not be tied to medications or continuing to suffer time and time again. So symptoms can tell you that something is hurting your body, but if it's ignored, it's going to get worse. So another example, I mean, imagine if we're all on a cruise ship and we look out in the ocean and we see the peak of an iceberg. I mean, we'd be like, whoa, there's more to that. There's more to that situation than just what we see. And that's how symptoms are. There is more to it than what you see. It doesn't tell you what is going on. It just tells you that something is going on. And what we know is that when someone is, say, suffering in their 40s with low cognitive scores, or they sleep poorly, they're more likely to have dementia and Alzheimer's in their 60s. So we've got to take these warning signs seriously, because what we have in our 20s and 30s can be what we end up with, or can be bigger challenges in our 40s and 50s. Now, secret number 2, symptoms should not be ignored. Just like that, we wouldn't continue on the cruise ship going towards an iceberg thinking we'll just go around the near corner of it. That would be ignoring if something deeper is going on. So these symptoms really are trying to tell you there is something bigger than just what you're feeling. So secret number 3, when you reduce or remove the stress from your body, it really is allowed to heal and regulate properly. Now, let me show you how this works clinically. This is a patient of ours, and she came in. This was a shirt she wore all the time. This is what she looked like afterwards. And she wanted a second opinion on her thyroid because she had been diagnosed with hypothyroidism. She'd been put on meds, and she still wasn't feeling better, even with what they had tested as normal thyroid function. And after going through a 4-month program of care, even though she had suffered for years, in 4 months, she said, my health and energy is at a 10 out of 10. My hair is healthier, my skin is healthier, my digestion is better, I sleep like a log, I have energy all day long, I am more mentally and emotionally strong than I have been in years. And while she said this isn't what's most important, but it does feel good, she lost 40 pounds in the process of doing this. And I think my favorite thing that she said in this testimonial is that she has a new outlook on life, and she realized that her health is number 1. So we want you to place your health as number 1 as well. And here's another patient that went through care.
Not good. I was pre-diabetic. I was eating just about anything and everything that I wanted to, and anything that I ate I knew was not good for me. I guess my biggest thing at other doctors' offices was the lack of information that I didn't receive. Here I was always kept informed and with progress. So I've been under care for 3 months. My health now, compared to what it was before, is much better. I feel fantastic, both mentally and physically. This has made me make a commitment to myself to be better. I now have told myself that I have people that need me. It has made me feel fantastic. I was always bloated and just felt full all the time. I feel like working out. I feel like doing things instead of sitting around and being lethargic. Don't hesitate not to do it. I guarantee you'll feel much better.
What was your health like before?
It is important to laugh at ourselves just a little bit. Don't take life too seriously. And I heard somebody say one time, none of us get out of it alive anyway. But what I do know for sure, I mean, we should be able to laugh at ourselves, but what I know for sure is that at the end of our lives, what we're gonna want more of is time and health. You can have 1,000 problems, but until you have a health problem, nothing can quite compare to that. So there are 6 biological causes of health problems. I want to go through these individually with you. The interesting part is that we see of these 6 main causes, we see most people have more than one. It's not usually just one problem. But we're going to kind of break these down for today and go through these. So let's talk first about hormonal imbalances, and then we'll talk a little bit later about what kind of testing we actually do to find those hormonal imbalances, because so often people complain of having these imbalances. They feel like they do, and then they're told that they're normal. Or what really gets me is that they're told, or they'll say, I think that I have a hormone imbalance. I think something's wrong with my hormones. And then they're told that they can't have their hormones tested. I don't understand that. So let's talk about hormone imbalances, autoimmune disorders like Hashimoto's. Autoimmune disorders, they occur when your immune system, which if you think about it, your immune system is supposed to be your friend. It's supposed to fight off the things we don't want in the body, like viruses, bacteria, parasites, etc. So autoimmunity is when your body mistakenly attacks your own tissues. It's like that immune system has gone rogue and started to attack the things that we want in our body. It can attack the brain, it can attack your thyroid, it can attack any of your glands. In my case, it attacked my bone marrow. And when it attacks these systems, then it's going to ultimately attack, like, for example, it attacks the thyroid, it's going to mess up what the thyroid is responsible for doing, which is producing hormones. There's over 100 different types of autoimmune disorders, theorized to be well over 600-700. We just can't diagnose them all through the blood work. So 20%, it's estimated that 20% of the population does have an autoimmune disorder. Most people don't know it. On average, it can take 6 different doctors to get to a diagnosis, 5 years of complaining long enough that finally they do the testing to find these things. And the number one cause when it comes to thyroid disease, meaning 85 to 90% of the time, if you have a thyroid disorder, you can point your finger at autoimmunity. So this is very important for you to understand that if you have an autoimmune disorder, if you have a thyroid disorder, most likely you have an autoimmune disorder. Now, how do you know that? Obviously, one of the ways is to test for this, so we don't have to guess, but do you have a family history of anybody with thyroid issues or autoimmune diseases? Do you have skin issues like hives, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, digestive issues, or worsening food sensitivities? These are all indicators or warning signs. If you have migraines, vertigo, gait issues, if you have unexplained, like that feeling of anxiety, when you're like, nothing really is wrong, I don't know where it's coming from, I just don't feel like everything is right, or depression, swollen or achy joints, diagnosis of fibromyalgia, or you just don't feel good. So it's really important to get proper testing for this, because thyroid medications, they do nothing to address the root cause of thyroid disease. This is really important for you to understand. Please understand me and hear me when I say this. Thyroid medications do nothing to address the root cause of thyroid disease. So things like if you have that rock in your shoe, you got to take the rock out or you're going to continue to suffer. So really important to get to the root cause of this versus just treat those symptoms. And this is why so many people, they take the thyroid medication, They're getting 1, maybe 2 of the 7 thyroid tests we do, and they're being told, well, your thyroid is regulated based off of just looking at 1 or 2 tests. So you've got to dig a little bit deeper than that. You've got to even look at things like gut malfunction or gut dysfunction, because again, that's where your immune system comes from. So if 85, 90% of patients with hypothyroidism, it's caused by autoimmunity. Autoimmunity is really a gut issue. So we've got to look a little deeper into the gut, and the testing that we can do is pretty incredible. So this is called a GI MAPS test. It is 5 pages of information and over 90 different biomarkers for colon health. Now, if you do a standard stool culture with your medical doctor, how many tests are they doing? You should ask that question, because typically it's just 1 page and we do 5. So functional medicine, we dig quite a bit wider, we dig quite a bit deeper. I always say it's kind of like fishing. We want to cast that net wide so we can see what we can catch. And this particular test is a DA analysis of the stool that's 300 times more sensitive than simply looking through a microscope to see if they see something wrong. This test looks for things like C. diff and E. coli and salmonella and giardia and parasites and protozoa and worms. So besides the usual symptoms of things like bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, heartburn that can be linked to these things, we have to really understand that 2/3 of people that have GI issues have no GI symptoms. So what does that mean? That means the majority of people that could have these types of things going on in their GI system have no outward symptoms that are standard stereotypical GI symptoms. So we've got to dig a little bit deeper and see where this is coming from. So secret number 7 is just that. You can have these problems, something can be wrong, but you don't have any digestive symptoms. So let's look at the gut. I think it is definitely worth obviously looking deeper with a stool culture. And we know that the majority of the neurotransmitters for your brain actually come from the gut as well. So if you have something like anxiety or depression, at least I don't say, I wonder what's wrong with this person's brain. I'm always wondering again, what's going on with the GI system. If you have frequent illnesses, even things like cancer, I'm thinking, what's going on in the gut? We've got to dig deeper. If you say, I'm always getting sick, I always have these sinus issues, I have allergies, have asthma or have had asthma, we got to look at the gut. Got to dig deeper into achiness, headaches, migraines. There is a root cause to every one of these issues. There is a root cause, and we want to know where it's coming from. So gastrointestinal system, the majority of the bacteria actually in your body is in your intestines, meaning, I mean, did you know you actually have good bacteria? We hear the word bacteria and think it's just bad, 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 but that's not true. You actually have good bacteria that helps your body break down foods. It helps you build up the immune system. I think of them like little soldiers that helps you build up those neurotransmitters. And it's really important for the overall balance of your GI system as far as the balance of your entire body. Your gut, it's a tube, but if you open it up, it's a surface area of a tennis court. And when that microbiome goes from what it looks like on your left to what it looks like on your right, from tight junctions to leaky and inflamed, that's going to throw that microbiome out of balance. And it can be caused from the foods we eat. It can be caused from medications we take, the alcohol we consume, and that's just going to start to wear away at the intestinal health and cause you to suffer. Now, one of the most common things we see is just that leaky gut, and you can test for it and see if you've got it. And this is where if you do have leaky gut, you're going to be leaking food and bacteria and fecal matter into the bloodstream, causing that immune system to overtire, increasing activation of it and exacerbating symptoms you might have, causing new symptoms, exacerbating autoimmunity, and leading to a whole host of other digestive issues. So test after test is really showing us that the gut microbiome and intestinal dysfunction have emerged as potential contributing factors to even things like cardiovascular disease. So alterations in that gut microbiome, they're well documented in hypertension, atherosclerosis, heart failure, and have been investigated as a therapeutic target. This is actually really exciting. That growing evidence, it shows that increased permeability can play pathogenic role in various autoimmune disorders. We've got to get this information out there so that you're just not diagnosed and told, like I was, get on an immunosuppressant drug for the rest of your life. You're told, hey, you might not have to do that. You might be able to turn this around, because these things like bacterial endotoxins from the gut into the circulation can interfere with so many things, including your hormones, and initiate things like systemic inflammation and reducing, even testosterone production by the testes. Your body is an ecosystem. Everything in your system is connected, and one thing is affecting the other thing. And when we get to the root cause and we treat your body like a whole systems approach, you're going to get well and stay well. So biological causes, hormone imbalances, autoimmune diseases, gut dysfunction, as a review, inflammation, poor detoxification, and really on a cellular level with inflammation, all of the stress in the body, from the foods we eat to autoimmune conditions to gut infections to leaky gut, hormone imbalances, from these microparticles are created. And when something is in our bodies at too high of a level and it's considered toxins and becomes free radicals, we have these damaged cells. So your cells should look nice and smooth and round. And when you get all of this toxicity in the body, it bombards, kind of punches and damages these cells, and we get these inflamed cells. Now, it's important to note that every tissue, gland, and organ of the human body is made of these cells. So on the cellular level, when they are exposed and they're damaged, it can cause the body to not heal or regulate properly. So when this is happening, your liver starts working overtime to clean up the debris, particles, and waste. So it needs to have a surplus of antioxidants from fruits and vegetables to help clean up the waste, or as I like to call them, antitoxins. But if you have poor gut function, then your body's going to be missing the nutrients it needs to do this. And your gut is and if your gut is leaking, it's actually adding to this entire mess. And when the liver is overloaded and not cleaning it up, it starts to release a substance to help clean up this mess. And this substance is called CRP, or C-reactive protein. And this protein's job is to go out into the body and grab these damaged cells and help carry them to the liver to be recycled. But the higher someone's CRP levels are, the more damage they have in their bodies. And this inflammation then is a sign that the body is damaged and the liver is working overtime. And it's struggling to detoxify the body and keep it clean and healthy. So CRP, it is one of the most important indicators of overall health. Anytime someone pokes you and draws blood, I want you to request that a CRP is added to that. So make sure to get that accurate measurement, hang on to, get a copy of all the tests that you do, keep it in one little binder so that you have everything in one place. So normal function is like this. When everything is working properly, you have these secreting cells and target cells, right? So let's say they're the secreting cells of your ovaries and they secrete estrogen. Now this hormone then goes out. It attaches to receptor sites on your cells and say in your brain, which affects your memory and your mood. This is why when it's too high before your menses, you can kind of get irritable and moody, or this estrogen goes to your uterus to help stimulate the growth of the lining. And in men, this is the cells of your testicles, and it's making testosterone that goes to your brain to affect confidence and sex drive and motivation. So this is when everything is working properly. This is what's supposed to happen. Now, but let's say the receptor site in your uterus is damaged or your brain tissues are inflamed. The body may need to increase the level of the hormone to create the same effect, but they are still within the medical accepted range. But they're higher than they used to be. So the body then responded by creating fibroids or cysts in response to these elevated levels. So see, just like the pebble in your shoe, I mean, when your foot gets a blister, I mean, these hormones, when they're too high, it causes damage to the tissues. So you start to see changes, fibroids, endometriosis, cysts, things like that, tumors. And if they're ignored for too long, they keep damaging the tissues, and it results in things like breast, ovarian, uterine cancer. At least this is what the research shows us time and time again. So if the liver is congested and it's not cleaning up all the waste in the damaged cells, and it struggles to detoxify hormones properly, this can increase your risk of cancers. So why would your body, I mean, produce more estrogen? Back to, it may need to be producing more estrogen to get the actual desired response, but that elevated estrogen is going to increase so many risks of different things. And we could spend an entire day going through the research on this. So that's not just breast, uterine, ovarian cancers. It's things like prostate cancers as well, or progression of. So men, if you find you have elevated estrogen levels because your liver is congested, you've got to know how to actually correct this, because that inflammation is going to continue to get worse over time and have real bad effects on your cells, from the secreting cells to the receptor cells, and ultimately cause you feel terrible and get worse over time. So anything over 3 is really significantly positive. It's also associated with symptoms like PMS. I mean, did you ever think that maybe your PMS is because your inflammation levels are high, your liver is bogged down? 8 different things factor into metabolism. So gaining weight or having abnormal cravings that just don't seem to go away, pain, bloating, cramps, back pain, and so on and so forth. So you've got to test this. And inflammation really has been found to be a reliable marker. I mean, even when it comes to things like neurotransmitters that are involved in, reward processes in their body, reducing or causing somebody to have less motivation, apathy, depression, and so on. So there is a time and a place to treat those symptoms. I do truly believe in that. Please don't shoot the messenger. I just think we've got to understand, if we do need a medication, that we use it the best that we can. We use it as a bridge, between where we are and where we want to be, that we don't use it as a ball and chain or something that we're having to do forever if we don't have to. So these are the 6 biological causes. Even eating the wrong foods. We find nutritional deficiencies a lot, actually, even in people that are taking the right nutrients. If you think back to the slide on what the cells of the gut should look like versus what they look like when they're inflamed or crack or break apart, how is that going to affect your nutrient loading? What if you're not taking nutrients that you need and you're depleting something else? I mean, 90% of our patients, when we test, 90% have nutritional deficiencies. And I'm including people in that are taking nutrients. They might just be, I mean, if you're taking a lot of nutrients and you don't really know what you need, you could, or you don't even know if it's a good supplement, you could be producing expensive poo or pee. So we've got to test these things. And you need proper nutrient levels for overall health and well-being in your body. If you had a car and you didn't put good gasoline in it, that you just put the McDonald's of gasoline or the processed foods of gasoline into your car, how well is that car going to function? How long is it going to last? And while we're on that topic, I mean, some people treat their cars better than they do their own bodies. There's no better investment than your health and well-being. Back to, let's not take life so seriously all the time, but let's take our health very seriously, because at the end of our lives, that's what we're going to want more of. So there are 13 essential nutrients, 13 essential vitamins, 2 essential fatty acids, 9 essential amino acids. They are necessary for human life. I mean, this is scary and it doesn't happen often, but you can have any one of these nutrients get super low and you can actually die from it. So research is showing us that it really can cause the body to malfunction and give you quite a few different symptoms. So in order for your body to heal, for your body to regulate, you need to have proper nutrient levels, and we need to know what those are. Meaning, I mean, we know what they should be, but we need to know where you are, and you need to have proper digestive function, and have the right food so that you don't deplete your body of other nutrients. Okay, so nutrients are essential for hormonal regulation, and it's crazy in today's society with the testing available that people are still walking around missing these essential nutrients. It really never ceases to amaze me that so many people are depleted and how they're, I mean, even vitamin D, I promise you, if you live in the Midwest, you're deficient if you're not taking it. And it's the cheapest nutrient out there, but you can test to know exactly what your levels are at and how much you need to take, because vitamin D, it's essential for proper function, for health, for healing. We need to make sure that we have these nutrients to detoxify. This is fuel for every system in your body. And you have to have those essential vitamins, nutrients, and minerals, even for memory and cognition. So really important to get those tested. So if we continue to remain unaware of the cause of our problems, we're probably not going to get better. What if you had a cavity and you just kept covering it up with Tylenol time and time again? We all know where that's going to head. It's not going to get better, and it's definitely not going to stay the same. So the current pharmaceutical-driven model of healthcare, it isn't teaching you what your role is in getting healthier. It's simply labeling you or diagnosing your symptoms and then prescribing a pill for an ill, but you're ultimately responsible. So please, please don't say, my doctor did this wrong, or my doctor didn't do that, or my doctor, you need to ask the right questions to the right people and be your own best healthcare advocate. And I hope by today educating you through this, that you can ask better questions, that you can get to the root cause of this and get well. So the lack of awareness with so many people, it's really resulting in our country being really sick. I mean, think about the last 10 years. Would you say United States is healthier? Or would you say it's sicker? Would you say that we're spending more money now than we did 10 years ago or less? So here's the question. If we're spending more money and we're not healthier than we were 10 years ago, and we're spending more money than most other countries out there, we're doing something wrong. We're pumping money into a system that's a little bit faulty. Now, where that system, our healthcare system in the United States, works really, really well is acute catastrophic crisis care. I mean, that's what it does really, really well. In fact, we're number one in the world. If God forbid we get into a car accident or, lacerate our arm or break a bone, I mean, that acute healthcare crisis system is really, really good. But where it falls short and why people are burning so much time day in, day out, week in, week out, looking for answers, is that for chronic conditions, your health insurance isn't going to cover that. For chronic conditions, acute catastrophic crisis care health isn't where you need to be at. So we've just got to be asking different questions. And when we look at different patients, I mean, this is what we're seeing. Of those 6 biological causes, over 90% have hormonal issues. We see over 25% with autoimmune disorder, over 90% with gut issues. We're really kind of in an epidemic of hormonal and gut issues. We see inflammation in a great majority of people, which increases risk of things like cardiovascular disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, and 100% of people are eating the wrong food, myself included. And I work really hard. I mean, I'm doing cellular juice and smoothies and everything, but our world is different than it was, say, 100 years ago. I mean, ever since the Industrial Revolution, we are being exposed to things in our food and in our environment and in our air that we never have before. So while we can't be perfect, we have to be aware and we have to do the best that we can. And if you're getting food somewhere other than in your backyard that was organically grown with the soil and on, eating the right foods, it can't be 100% all the time. So I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking for you to be aware, and I'm asking for you to do the very best that you can with what you have. So what we're going to talk about, a couple more case studies, and then we're going to wrap it up here shortly. So let's talk about this patient.
Before I started care, I was tired, anxious, depressed. My stomach was upset constantly. I just was a down person and had no motivation to keep on going, and I knew I needed to do something. At other doctors' offices, I would go in complaining that I was anxious or depressed or my stomach didn't feel good, and it was just instantly another medication that they added, whether it be anxiety pills, depression pills, or some kind of like antacid to help my stomach, all of which did nothing to help. I have been under care for 8 weeks now. My health now is 100 times better than when I first started care. I now sleep better at night. I'm not nearly as anxious or depressed. I have more energy to go out and do things that I used to love doing. And I'm just a whole new person. This has definitely affected me in a positive way in my job, in my marriage, in just life in general. I'm a much happier person and I feel healthy and I want to continue down this path. If someone is considering this type of care, I would jump in feet first. It's totally worth it. You won't regret it. It has helped me tremendously and it will you too.
This is a great example of what happens when you discover the unique needs of that particular patient. Can't place people in boxes and just say, because you have this symptom, you need that, or because you have this one blood marker, you need this. You really have got to look at each person's unique case. So I love this. This is my favorite thing that she said. I'm a much happier person. I feel healthier and I want to continue on that path. So anything that you do that's of value, you're going to have to keep doing it. So if you go to the gym and you stop, you're going to lose those gains. If you start drinking a lot of water and you stop, you're going to become dehydrated. If you take vitamin D and you stop, you're going to become deficient. Now, I don't say that to intimidate you because, again, I'm not asking you to be perfect, but what I'm asking for you to do is invest in your health. And if you invest in your health, I promise you, someday you will look back and it will be the best investment that you've ever made. And it's easier than you think it is. Because if you have a true system that addresses the root cause and helps the body heal, you're going to get well, stay well, and there's going to be so many additional benefits. So this was actually a group of 50 randomly selected patients who'd been under care for an average of 5 months, and this is what they reported. So there was 96% of people with improved overall health, 69% had improvement in memory and focus, 67% improved in energy, 60% improved in sleep. There was a 46% reduction in inflammation. This is in just 5 months. 76% improvement in digestive health, 67% improvement or less anxiety and depression. And these are real people getting real results. This is a mom that feels like she can be a better mother because she's not so exhausted by the end of the day. This is a dad that can do activities and play games with his kids. This is a grandma who can spend the time snuggling her grandbabies, who looks forward to having great grandbabies. This is someone's marriage who's been saved because they aren't so irritable and frustrated all the time and aren't consumed with feeling like crap. This is a new family that was started because their fertility had been restored. This is someone who started exercising again and gaining that self-confidence back because they actually feel good enough to exercise again. This is someone who's able to return to work and feel a sense of purpose. So I feel pretty blessed and lucky to be able to help people get their lives back. And this is more than just these numbers. This is so much more. So if what we do is so effective, whether us or any other practitioner, you can ask this question: if what you do is so effective, why don't all the doctors do this? And the truth is there is a piece of me that doesn't, all of us as doctors, we can't know everything. But what I don't know is why every doctor doesn't open up to referring to practitioners in other scopes. I promise you, if I can help you, I'll tell you. If I think you should see someone else, I'll tell you that too, because I know that when it's my ball game, I can help. And when I think, ooh, this is kind of maybe something like an acute catastrophic crisis, like it looks like cancer or something, I would not be the person to start with. So I do know I'm seeing more and more medical doctors that are starting to shift towards this. We get referrals from cardiologists, oncologists, neurologists, endocrinologists, primary carers pediatricians all the time. And then on the flip side of the coin, we hear our patients say that those doctors don't believe in this. You can't make testing up, and we pre and post test everybody. Those numbers are real, and they're based off of science. And we've seen this with thousands and thousands of patients. I got my own health back this way. So I think the health of the future is if you do need some sort of life-saving procedure or chemotherapy or some type of intervention or have an aneurysm, we need acute catastrophic crisis care. But if it's a chronic condition and you've ruled out, like for example, if you have headaches and you've done an MRI and you've done a CT scan and you've done this and that, and you've ruled out tumors and things like that, vascular issues in the brain, then it's not black and white. That doesn't mean that nothing's wrong just because you don't have an acute catastrophic crisis care situation. It means that you haven't been tested for the other things that can be contributing for this. So I think just what we've done is we have confused this system that we're in, that we've started to think that because our primary care is our primary care, they should know something about everything, but your primary care isn't your dentist, your primary care isn't your eye doctor, primary care isn't, most likely isn't your functional medicine doctor. So it simply is, you've got to ask the right questions to the right people. And the medical system is in the business of detecting those acute issues and managing them, or even maybe detecting chronic issues and managing them with medications or surgeries. That's what they learn in school. So please don't be mad at your doctor that he didn't test you correctly, or don't be mad at your doctor that he didn't ask you these right questions or refer you out. I just think they weren't trained that way, and I think it's coming, but they're not bad people. I mean, these doctors go to school for all of us as practitioners, we go to school for a really long time. We work really hard. And I would say everybody that I know, we're in it because we want to help people. So I don't think that if you're not getting the answers with the doctor you're in, I don't think that they're trying to push you off. I think that you're just probably in the wrong place. And we've got to understand that our medical doctors too, they're working for the people that pay them, and that is the insurance companies. And insurance companies only pay for what they deem medically necessary. I mean, medical guidelines, this is what they state. Medicare, it's care that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, prolong and enhance the quality of life, is not considered medically necessary. What does that mean? It means that this system, your insurance, it's really good at helping you in acute catastrophic crisis care. It's not really good. It's not health care. So just like as an example or a comparison, your car insurance is not going to pay for premium gasoline. It's not going to pay for you to rotate the tires. It's not going to pay for you to wash the car and take care of it. It's not going to pay for you to do the things that are going to extend the quality and the life of the vehicle. But if you get into a car accident, it's going to help you out. So if you want true health care, you can't go and get the bare bones testing that is covered by insurance. You've got to look outside of the box a little bit, and that might be something that you need to ultimately invest in for yourself. And if done correctly, it's going to be the best investment you've ever made. So our 3-step process here, the first visit, listen, I've decided that you can talk to me. Your initial consultation with me, 20 to 30 minutes, virtual or in person, is no charge. Now, the reason why I invest my time is because I believe in you and I believe in getting you the right place. Too many people are being told you're fine, not because they are, but because maybe they're asking the wrong question, the right questions, the wrong doctor. So you can come and talk to me virtually, in person, anytime for free. Now, if you do decide to do some initial full comprehensive testing, it is a base of about $399, sometimes more. We do testing at cost, and that covers that second visit as well. Now, that second visit, we're going to go over the results, and and that usually is 1 to 3 weeks later. Now, usually it's a week. If we do decide to do additional tests on top of that full comprehensive panel, it can take a little bit longer. And we're going to go over those results. We're going to go over your primary concerns, what your goals are, why you're here, how you're hoping that I can help you. Sometimes we do have to do some secondary tests. Those are also done at cost if they are necessary, and we're going to create a written action plan for you and review the estimated cost. Now, the initial intensive care is 4 to 6 months, and then we retest. There are 4 of us here that are board certified functional medicine practitioners. We each have our own little pockets of strengths. So just depending upon how blood work and testing comes back, I might be the right person to sit in the driver's seat for you, or one of the other practitioners might be the right person. We do review patient cases. You have direct access to us throughout care. We may make adjustments. We'll through your care as we go. We give you guidance. We give you support. There's accountability. There is a Facebook members only page that's optional. It's just a beautiful group of like-minded individuals, and I think community is really important. We want to help you reach your goals. I want you to be somebody that has a story like what so many, like over 100 on Google, over 100 on Facebook, and that doesn't even touch the surface of the people that have gotten the results. Those are just the people that have taken the time to share their story in hopes that they could help you understand better what your options are. So we do have third-party tested, GMP certified, pharmaceutical grade regulated nutraceuticals or supplements. Please don't go out there and just start to buy things off of the grocery store shelf or one of these big box stores. Please don't get like a huge vat of some sort of supplement because it's cheap and hope that that's going to change your life. You've got to make sure that you're doing what your body actually needs to get well and stay well. Now, that comprehensive blood test is 70 plus biomarkers. There is 7 autoimmune markers directly, up to 100 indirectly. And we go through we look at nutritional levels, inflammation levels, markers for thyroid, metabolic panels, liver, gallbladder, kidney, immune function, hormones. And it's a 12, sometimes more than that, functional report. And it looks like this. Now, if you remember, I said health isn't black and white. Or I mean, like your diagnosis, it can't be like, oh, you're perfect, and then all of a sudden you've got this disease process. I mean, your teeth aren't perfect, and then all of a sudden you have, some sort of root canal that's necessary. There was a process to get there. So when you look at functional reports, you're actually going to get more of the color ranges, those shades of gray. So it's white is normal. Yellow is the beginning of the problem. Wouldn't that be the best time to find it? And then reds are medical severes, and then pink, those are alarm stages. So we also can look closely at deficiencies and say which ones are your primary deficiencies. What are the issues that are at the top of the list, even from a toxicity, immune system, liver function, and so on. So the 2 most common questions we get, number 1, I just had somebody reach out to me from Indiana. She's like, I don't know if I can make it to Des Moines, Iowa. And that is no problem because we work through LabCorp. There's LabCorps all over the country that we can get you in. It does have to be a lab that we're contracted with. And the next question is, can I get my doctor to order these tests? I have really good insurance. Now, these tests are so comprehensive, they are well over $1,000. And in some states, I've seen other practitioners say that these tests are upwards of over $2,000. So it would normally be billed, but we have negotiated a price directly with LabCorp, so we don't have to prove medical necessity to run everything that we order. And then no one gets stuck with this gigantic bill. So meaning if these are considered, and these are functional tests. They're not tests based on medical necessity. I want to look at the function of your body. If we send this through insurance, they're going to deny you're going to be sent this giant bill because it isn't covered. And if you go through your medical doctor too, which I've had many people try, I have yet to see one person that got the over 70 plus biomarkers because insurance worked for the people that they're paid by, your medical doctor works for insurance companies or the people that they're paid by, and there's limitations and restrictions off what they can order, which is why we get so many referrals from these practitioners to do the testing that we do in the office. Now, with these functional reports, it's also nice because when we retest, we can track your progress and see exactly where you are. And if you are near us in Des Moines, Iowa, we have actually in-house testing. So we can do the testing here in the lab that we have on site. So in conclusion, sometimes it's the smallest decisions that can change your life forever, and you don't have to slay the dragon. I mean, you don't have to do it all at once. I mean, I look back on my life and I wonder how my life would have been different if I had not been told, guided, encouraged to reach out and hire a functional medicine doctor. If I had just thought, this is, I guess, my new normal, and I need to take these immunosuppressant drugs in order to have some version or some form of a quality of life, I don't know where I'd be. I mean, where would these 3 different patients that you saw testimonials, where would they be if they hadn't decided to take a leap of faith and say, I've got to ask the questions. Even I had somebody that had seen so many doctors that she thought, I can't see one more doctor and be told that I'm normal. I'm going to go crazy. And she said, maybe I was crazy already, but she took that leap of faith and decided to do the testing, and it changed her entire life. So one step of it at a time, because maybe this is something that can turn things around and help you be the kind of mother and wife and father and husband and worker, and not even just that for other people, but for you, that have the kind of future that you want and deserve without continuing to have to go through this roller coaster of relapses or Groundhog's Day, feeling the same today as you were yesterday and being tossed around like a hot potato. So your health it's about other people. It's about you. It's about how this affects people. And every time you make a decision in your life, you're casting a vote for what's important to you. It tells you what your priorities and your values are. And the truth is, you are the most important project you will ever work on. So choose wisely, because it's the smallest decisions that can change your life forever. So if you don't think this is what you're looking for or isn't the right time, please pass. You're more than welcome to even click the button below and just tell us that you're not interested, so we don't keep reaching out to you. But if you want to schedule, I want you to click the button below. If you've already reached out to my staff, that's wonderful. We will make sure that you get the proper new patient paperwork, and there is a link below as well. It'll take you about 5 minutes to fill out that paperwork. And so if you're serious, please don't procrastinate and put you off or put this off. A big part of getting well is committing to your health and carving out the time you need to do the important things. And this paperwork, 5 minutes of your time, should be priority number 1. Once that paperwork is filled out, we're going to go ahead and reserve a time for you. I promise we will honor your time. Please honor our time in the sense that if you do need to change that appointment time once you've reserved it, because we often go on a 3 to 5 week wait list or more, please give us a good 24 hours, because there might be somebody that's suffering that's waiting to get in earlier. And by you letting us know 24 hours, it's a gift to them to be able to get on the schedule earlier. So again, I want to applaud you. I want to thank you for your time. I do not take lightly that you're here. I believe in a healthier community. I believe in you, and I will do anything that I can to help you live the life of your dreams. Have a wonderful rest of the day.